15 mind-blowing facts about Iceland, the most eccentric country on Earth. Travel documentary. Can you imagine a place on Earth where fire and ice not only coexist, but actually shape the land together? Where you might find yourself relaxing in a hot spring, right next to the president, and where dating apps help people make sure they aren't accidentally matching with distant relatives. Welcome to Iceland, one of the most extraordinary and eccentric places on the planet. Today on ACT Travel Documentary, we'll uncover 15 mind-blowing facts that make this wild and mesmerizing country unlike anywhere else. Ready to dive into a world where the rules of life are completely rewritten? Number 15. The frozen land where the sun shines for 24 hours. Iceland, that frozen chunk of magic just under the Arctic Circle, is basically Mother Nature's wild child. It spans approximately 103,000 square kilometers, but only about 398,266 people actually swiped right to live there as of the year 2025. Not much competition for parking or dating. In summer, the sun gets drunk on itself and refuses to set. 24 hours of daylight, non-stop, like Coachella without the portable toilets. Perfect if you love existential dread at 3 in the morning under a blazing sky. Then comes winter, and the sun, total ghosting. Parts of Iceland plunge into a darkness so deep, even Batman would say, "Damn, that's a bit much." But hey, plot twist, thanks to the Gulf Stream, winters here are not Arctic death cold. Reykjavík's winter temperatures flirt around 0 degrees Celsius, which is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Cozy, if you consider frostbite a vibe. So yeah, Iceland is not just another country on your bucket list. It is a cosmic joke with better public relations. A place where sunlight forgets how to clock out and darkness overstays its welcome. Like a bad roommate, you are too polite to evict. And somehow, despite the emotional whiplash of eternal day and endless night, people here just shrug, grab a coffee, and keep living. Maybe that is the real magic, surviving the chaos and calling it home. Number 14. Reynisfjara, the world's most beautiful beach, where the sun forgot to RSVP. Hey, listen up. Imagine a beach where sunshine is basically a rumor. Welcome to Reynisfjara, just about a 177-kilometer drive, or 2.5 hours of vibing through Iceland's moody landscapes from Reykjavík. Forget golden sands. Here, the ground is pure black. Volcanic lava turned into a cosmic art project. Towering basalt columns rise like a fortress built by ancient gods who couldn't be bothered with blueprints. Sounds epic, right? Well, hold your surfboards. Reynisfjara isn't just dramatic, it's deadly. Waves here can hit 12 meters high. That's about a 4-story building. Worse, there are sneaker waves, sneaky giants that have dragged more than a few unlucky tourists straight into the cold, unforgiving Atlantic. I remember reading about a traveler in 2023, a photographer, who set up his tripod too close. 1 second, he was framing the shot of a lifetime. The next, the ocean took him. Icelanders have a saying here: respect the sea, it doesn't respect you. Reynisfjara is breathtaking, sure, but it's also a chilling reminder that nature isn't some Disneyland ride. Here, it plays by its own brutal rules, and honestly, that's what makes it unforgettable. If you could visit Reynisfjara, would you walk close to the waves or stay safe on the shore? Comment, stay back, if you'd play it safe, or brave it, if you'd get a little closer. Number 13. Hot springs, the beating heart of Icelandic life. The water here, it's no joke, naturally heated to between 37 and 40 degrees Celsius, and standing proudly among these wonders is the famous Blue Lagoon, Iceland's superstar spa that draws travelers like moths to a neon flame. But here's the twist. Icelanders don't just soak for relaxation. Hot springs are their social clubs, their therapy rooms, their peace rituals. Whether you're a fisherman or a CEO, once you slip into that silky water, titles vanish. In the springs, everyone is equal, and everyone talks. As of 2025, Iceland is home to over 45 natural hot springs scattered across its rugged landscape. Some are polished and luxurious. Others are raw, secret, and waiting for those willing to wander a little off-map. Have you ever dreamed of having a heart-to-heart conversation with a stranger while floating under the northern lights? What would you share if the steam washed away all barriers? In a way, these hot springs aren't just part of the land. They are Iceland's true social media, long before hashtags were even a thing. And honestly, I think they got it right. Number 12. Iceland owns the largest gene bank on the planet. Think Iceland is just glaciers and volcanoes. Think again. Behind its rugged beauty, this tiny nation is quietly leading the genetic revolution. Meet Decode Genetics, the company managing the world's largest human gene bank. With a population of about 398,266 people, you might expect limited data. But here's the jaw drop. Nearly 70% of Iceland's population has volunteered to have their DNA stored. Why? Because here, genetic research isn't just science, it's a national mission. The goal is bold: to detect and prevent hereditary diseases like cancer, cardiovascular conditions, and Alzheimer's before they take hold. Imagine knowing your health risks decades ahead and doing something about it. By 2025, Decode Genetics had completed the first full human recombination map, a milestone that's reshaping global medical research. And it's not just scientists cheering. The Icelandic government actively encourages DNA storage to advance medicine and protect future generations. Would you trust your DNA to shape a healthier world? If you could help stop diseases before they even start, would you do it? In Iceland, the answer is already echoing loud and clear, and it's written in their genes. Number 11. Living wild. Iceland's off-the-grid wooden cabins. Across Iceland, more than 300 hand-built wooden cabins are scattered like secret hideouts. And here's the catch. Most of them have no electricity and no internet. Instead, they run on natural spring water and wind energy, keeping life refreshingly raw and ridiculously real. Post-pandemic, especially after 2024, this eco-retreat living exploded. People craved escape. Not 5-star hotels, but 5 billion stars overhead. I remember reading about a couple from Reykjavík who left their city apartment behind in 2025 to live full-time in one of these cabins. They said, "At first, it was terrifying. Now, it's freedom we can't trade for anything." And honestly, can you imagine waking up every morning to nothing but wind, silence, and the soft breath of the earth itself? Would you dare to leave it all behind, even just for a while? In Iceland, this is not a fantasy. It's a choice, and it's calling louder than ever. Number 10. Iceland's police don't carry guns, and they rarely need to. In a world where sirens and weapons feel like part of the background noise, Iceland quietly flips the script. Here, police officers patrol daily without carrying firearms, a choice that says more about society than about security tactics. And the results speak for themselves. By 2025, Iceland maintained the lowest violent crime rate in all of Europe. Trust runs so deep that in Reykjavík, it's still common for people to leave their doors unlocked during the day. Yes, you heard that right. In Iceland, safety isn't just a promise, it's a way of life. A story about a tourist who accidentally left her wallet on a park bench for hours. When she came back, not only was it still there, someone had even tucked it under a jacket to keep it dry. Maybe the real strength of Iceland isn't just in its glaciers or volcanoes. It's in how people trust each other enough to live without fear. No locks, no loaded weapons, just a quiet belief that safety starts with how you treat your neighbor. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What would our world look like if trust, not fear, was the first rule we lived by? Number 9. The only country with no ants and no mosquitoes. You heard that right. Iceland, wild, untamed, and impossibly clean, is the only country in the world where you won't find ants crawling into your picnic or mosquitoes buzzing by your ear. Why? Blame it on the brutal cold. Iceland's harsh climate, mixed with its volcanic soil and the endless freeze-thaw cycles, simply make it impossible for these pests to survive. No steady environment, no creepy crawlies. Even as climate change triggered a mosquito boom in many parts of the world, by 2025, Iceland proudly remains 100% mosquito-free. Not a single itchy bite. Not even one tiny winged invader. I came across a traveler's post recently. Camping in Iceland is like nature pressing the mute button. No buzzing, no bites, just pure silence. Honestly, it sounds like paradise on Earth. But here's a thought. Can you imagine a summer without the constant hum of insects? How would it feel to breathe in nature without swatting it away? In this travel documentary, Iceland reminds us that sometimes the real luxury isn't five-star hotels. It's simply being left alone by nature's noisiest neighbors. Number 8. Iceland's spectacular destinations. You have to see to believe. If you think Iceland is just ice and fire, think again. This country is home to some of the most breathtaking places on Earth. And trust me, they don't just live up to the hype, they redefine it. First up, the iconic Blue Lagoon. Imagine soaking in a natural hot spa surrounded by black volcanic sand and rugged lava fields. That surreal blue mist rising around you. It's not CGI, it's real life, and it's pure magic. Then there's Vatnajökull National Park, home to Europe's largest glacier. Here, you can explore crystal blue ice caves so vivid they feel like stepping inside a frozen sapphire. Every crack and shimmer tells a story older than memory itself. And let's not forget Landmannalaugar, Iceland's hidden gem. Picture multicolored mountains, emerald lakes, and steaming neural hot springs. A trekking paradise where every step feels like walking through a painter's dream. No wonder in 2025, Lonely Planet ranked all 3 among the top 10 green travel destinations worldwide. Here's a question. If you could hike through a living rainbow, would you dare? Iceland shows us that the best colors aren't man-made. They're carved by nature itself. Number 7. Iceland's Elf Protection Agency. Yes, it's a real thing. Believe it or not, in Iceland, elves aren't just fairy tale creatures. They're practically neighbors. According to a 2025 survey, 54% of Icelanders believe in the existence of elves, forest spirits, and other hidden beings, and it doesn't stop at folklore. Iceland even has a real, unofficial body, the Elf Protection Agency, led by the legendary Ragnhildur Jónsdóttir. Her job? Protect sites believed to be sacred to these unseen residents. Construction projects have literally been rerouted to avoid disturbing elf habitats. Today, the story of elf protection is so woven into Icelandic identity that it's officially included in cultural textbooks for students across the country. And if you're curious, yes, you can experience it firsthand. The rise of elf tours in 2025 has turned these mystical tales into one of Iceland's hottest travel experiences. I read a travel blog recently where a visitor said, "I came for the glaciers, but I stayed for the elves." Somehow, believing made everything more magical. So, if you had to choose between disturbing the land or respecting the magic, what would you do? Would you protect the elves if you were in Iceland? Comment, respect the magic, if you would. Or just a legend, if you're not convinced. And if you want to learn more about getting a visa, just drop visa in the comments below. Number 6. Iceland's official No Sleep Festival. Every June, Reykjavík hosts the legendary Secret Solstice Festival, the world's only official No Sleep Festival. And they mean it. The timing is no coincidence. The event aligns with the phenomenon of 72 straight hours of sunlight, when the sun simply refuses to set. Picture this: live music 24 hours a day, for 3 days and 3 nights. No sunset, no darkness, just non-stop beats against the backdrop of Iceland's wild beauty. But Iceland doesn't stop at ordinary stages. Some performances happen deep inside ancient lava caves. Others take place on the Langjökull Glacier, surrounded by walls of shimmering ice. It's not just a concert, it's like partying inside the Earth's beating heart. By 2025, the Secret Solstice Festival attracted over 20,000 music lovers from around the globe, all chasing the thrill of dancing under an endless sun. I read a festival-goer's review that said, "After 3 days, I didn't know if I was dreaming or awake, and honestly, it didn't matter." Number 5. Reykjavík, the smallest big city in the north. If you think all capital cities are sprawling, crowded giants, Reykjavík is here to prove you wrong, in the most charming way possible. 2025. Reykjavík's population stands at about 142,116 people. Now stack that up against its Nordic neighbors: Oslo with around 700,000, Copenhagen at 650,000, and Stockholm pushing close to 1 million. Tiny? Absolutely. But boring? Not even close. This little big city buzzes with the energy of a metropolis but feels as cozy as your favorite neighborhood cafe. Here, you can bump into the mayor while buying coffee, catch a live concert in a small square, and still walk to the beach before sunset. And honestly, can you imagine living somewhere that's lively enough for festivals, yet small enough to recognize your barista by name? Would you trade the rush of a big city for the rhythm of a city that actually breathes with you? Reykjavík reminds us that being small isn't a weakness. It's a secret superpower. Number 4. The most book-loving nation on Earth. If there's one place where people still choose paper over pixels, it's Iceland. On average, each Icelander buys about 2 to 3 books every single month, a number most countries can only dream of. Even more incredible, roughly 50% of Iceland's population has either written a book or published a collection of short stories. Yes, half the country has picked up a pen and told their story. One of the most heartwarming traditions is Jólabókaflóð, or the Christmas book flood. Every December, books flood into homes as the most cherished gifts. It's not about gadgets or gold, it's about words, imagination, and sharing stories by a cozy fire. In 2025, UNESCO officially recognized Iceland as the leading reading society in the world, honoring their unmatched passion for literature. I recently came across a local bookstore owner's quote: "In Iceland, stories are more than entertainment, they are survival." And it made me wonder, if you had to choose one book to gift someone who matters most, what would it be? Number 3. Leading the way to carbon-neutral travel. When it comes to protecting nature, Iceland doesn't just talk the talk, it walks it, hikes it, and even soaks it in hot springs. Iceland aims to achieve 100% carbon-neutral tourism, a goal that feels as ambitious as it is necessary. Here's how they're making it real. Travel agencies and hotels now automatically offer carbon offset services with every booking. You won't need to tick a box or add extra steps. It's built into the journey. Meanwhile, if you trek across the stunning Vatnajökull glacier, you're not just exploring, you're planting. Some tours now include tree planting programs as part of their packages, letting travelers directly offset their footprint. Iceland proudly stands as the first country on Earth to fully embrace the idea that clean travel equals real nature conservation. Not just a slogan, but a way of life. So here's the real beauty of Iceland. It's not just a place you visit, it's a promise you keep. A promise that adventure doesn't have to cost the Earth. Because in Iceland, every footprint you leave behind gets a tree planted in its place. Every mile you trek helps protect a glacier, and every memory you make whispers back to nature, not takes from it. Number 2. A world leader in renewable energy. When most of the world is still arguing about clean energy, Iceland simply does it. 2025, an astonishing 99.96% of Iceland's electricity comes from hydropower and geothermal energy, some of the cleanest sources on Earth. And they're not stopping there. Iceland's bold target: completely eliminate coal and gas-generated electricity by the end of 2025. One project stands out: Carbfix, the largest natural carbon capture project on the planet. Here, captured carbon dioxide isn't just stored, it's turned into solid rock deep underground, locking it away naturally for centuries. It's like Mother Nature's own version of a permanent vault. In Iceland, they don't just power their lives differently, they live differently too. Here, the future isn't something to fear, it's something you build with your own 2 hands and a whole lot of trust in nature. Speaking of trust, did you know Iceland's police officers don't even carry guns? In this travel documentary, The Deeper You Go, the more Iceland reminds us, sometimes real strength isn't about control, it's about confidence. Number 1. How much does it really cost to live in Iceland? Let's be real, paradise doesn't come cheap, and Iceland is no exception. But what exactly does it cost to live among glaciers, geysers, and endless skies? First, the basics. Electricity here is almost guilt-free, with over 99% coming from hydropower and geothermal energy. So yes, you can blast the heater during those long winters without feeling like a climate villain. Now for the numbers: renting a 1-bedroom apartment in downtown Reykjavík, around $1,200 per month. Utilities like heating and water, expect about $200 monthly. If you're cooking at home, groceries will set you back $300 to $400. Public transportation, a reasonable $100 a month. And if you want to stay fit Icelandic style, a gym membership runs around $50 to $70 monthly. All in all, living comfortably in Reykjavík will cost you between $2,000 and $2,500 each month. Honestly, can you